go, guys. Hey, Paul Michael Davison. Wait, who is this?
My name is San Juan Caffey.
San Juan Caffey? Junior? JR?
JR.
The one, the only? Man, where have you been my whole life?
Man, I've been out of town. I moved to St. Louis and cleaned up some wreckage from my past.
Well, hold on. Before we get there, let's talk about this. These people, some may know who you are.
Okay.
A lot may know who you are. But there's some that may not.
Okay.
So you were born and bred, or you from Paola, right?
I was born in California. I was raised in Paola ever since I was a toddler, through my teenage years and my early adult.
Okay, teenage to adult.
Yes.
All right. So tell me about your family. Who all is a part of your family?
I come from the Webb Jewett tribe. My grandmother married my grandfather. His name was Merle Way. It was the first mulatto marriage recorded in Miami County back in the olden days.
And for people that don't know what mulatto is,
that's white and black. That's me and you together.
a lot of people, when you say mulatto, a lot of people go, man, is that new Starbucks?
Yeah. Well, they produced mulatto children. They were the first black and white couple. You're silly.
All right. So after we have our mulatto.
Uh-huh.
All right. So your mom, your brothers, your family, your sister.
My mother is Karen Jewett. She birthed 4 boys. You want me to name her brothers and sisters?
Name. Do what you did. If you want to, do it.
Paul, Kim, Chris, Merlene. My Uncle Brian died when he was a young baby, so I never met him. I've seen his cemetery grave.
And where's that at?
Paola Cemetery.
So where?
P-Town, baby.
Okay. So where? Okay. You graduated in 1996.
In St. Louis, Missouri. I had to venture off due to the fact for some problems that I caused myself. And
you want to
I
talk about that?
The stage. We'll get to that part.
Okay.
Yeah. But I am a native of Miami County, and I consider this home. That's why I'm here to visit.
San Juan, where have you been?
I've been in St. Louis. I moved to St. Louis November 14th of 2015 after detoxing in Spring Hill for a week at my brother's house. I've had a long run with the streets and with street pharmaceuticals and things of that nature, and I have a daily reprieve now from an addiction that had me in its complete grip. I now have a program of recovery where it's arrested daily. I have a choice today, and I haven't used since 11/7/15.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so now do me a favor.
Yes.
Wipe away the robot.
Wipe away the robot.
Wipe away, because here.
I'm the robot?
My name is San Juan. I was in. I feel like I'm back in prison.
Okay.
Paul Michael Davis, 83287.
83286. Okay.
Yeah, but by the way, we both went down at the same time.
At the same time.
Same time.
When I seen you, Paul, I was so hurt. I was like, God, why did this happen to him? And he comes from this beautiful, amazing family, and you had everything. And like I was on the outside looking in. I come from this poor, disruptive, dysfunctional family, and when I seen you, it killed me on the inside. But at the same time, I was so happy to see you because you were a beacon of hope. You were like a breath of fresh air, and I was confused as hell to like why you were there, man. I did not expect that outcome.
Well, things happen how they're supposed to happen. JR was in my brother's grade.
Yes.
And my brother passed away back in '96.
Yep, that was my buddy, man. We hung out all the time. I looked up to Derek. I admired him a lot. He treated me like a human being. We do come from a small hick town. There is prejudices. My family has their prejudices against each other, you know. And I learned how to discriminate evenly as a child to make myself feel good. However, Derek showed me nothing but unconditional love. He treated me like a human being. He honestly treated me like a brother. He was very good to me.
Well, something people may not know is that JR and I have known each other for, gosh, we were little kids.
Yes, middle
he,
school.
He used to come over to my house.
Yep.
Hang out over there, playing in the basement.
In the trampoline.
Yeah, oh
in
yeah,
the back.
man. We
Yep.
love the trampoline, baby.
Clint Bell lived next door.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, I've known this cat for a long time.
Life almost.
Yeah.
Yep. Lifers.
And I mean, it's crazy how our paths have gone apart.
Crossed
and
and
right
came
back,
back, yeah.
back and forth.
Yep.
And so, man, it's good to see you doing so
Likewise.
good. It's,
I'm proud of you, man. I'm in your studio and I'm shocked, bro.
Yeah, by the way, we're at the Gross here in Paler, Kansas.
Yeah, come check us out sometime.
Right? MCTV, baby. Live at the Gross. Well, this isn't live at the Gross. This is we're going to call this one JR's house.
Let's do it then. I'm down for that.
Okay, so tell me, so you're in St. Louis now.
Yes.
Are you out there by yourself or who?
No, honestly, 11615. Okay, prior to that date, I struggled. Do you want me to talk about that now?
Do what you do, man. Tell
Okay,
your time.
Basically, I'll start off here. I grew up here in a mixed family household. I was the darkest one. I had a beautiful mother. She wasn't in my life. She lived in Arizona with my stepfather, and I never felt right in the skin that I was in. I remember seeing Michael Jackson go from being my color to your color. Like overnight, damn near.
Lighter than me.
And I was like, what the hell? And I've always wanted to feel a void inside of me with something. However, when I was little, I just felt different. When you predominantly go to a white school, you feel different as a child, or at least I did. And even though I wasn't disrespected in any type of manner, I felt different.
You're just missing something. You were missing. You didn't feel full. You didn't feel complete.
No, I didn't. So I ventured off, and I don't know, to make me feel good, I did stupid little things kids do, especially when you're poor and you can't get what you want. I would take things, and that's when I noticed my problem of addiction started, honestly. Am I going too fast?
No.
Why are you laughing?
So seriously. So you were saying about your, I mean, when
I was going to get deeper on a deeper level. Basically, I was raised in this environment. It was very dysfunctional. We were very poverty-stricken. I was raised by alcoholic grandparents, and we were thrust together in a house that was very uncomfortable. It was poor. You would feel the elements of the season. We had holes in the roof when it rained. We had buckets, and we'd catch the rainwater in them. I thought that was kind of neat when I was little. The older I got, the more I knew that wasn't right. I remember in the wintertime, we all cuddled together to be closer to the heat. And I remember in the summer, it was just so hot. But I mean, there were things that happened at nighttime. You know, my grandparents would get drunk, and things just happened that shouldn't have happened to little kids. And there was some abuse in all shapes and forms that I experienced and went through. And it bothered me deeply. I was scarred, and I never had addressed that issue. So as I grew up, I held that captive.
All right, so JR, tell me about your childhood.
My childhood was rocky, fun, and shocking all in one.
How so?
Well, I mean, I was raised by alcoholic grandparents, one black and white, and I remember when they would argue, they'd cuss each other out, and they would use these words that we shouldn't use against each other. Mm-hmm. And that's when I knew, honestly, that I was different.
Did you know at that time that those words that they were using, or how they talked to each other, wasn't right?
You know the words when you're little. Come on now, I knew the words.
Well, I mean, like you'd hear them going at it. Mm-hmm. Would you be able to tell them in your head, you're like, man, that's not right. You shouldn't be talking to her like that.
I knew it was wrong, but I mean,
she shouldn't be talking back to him like that.
Yeah, or vice versa.
Yeah. So you went from there. You got into school. Well, we talked about. I mean, tell everybody again about the house you grew up in. I mean, the holes in the roof.
Well, I mean, it was poverty-stricken. It was very low income. There was one income coming in, sometimes two. My grandmother and grandfather, they were raising two grandchildren that were thrown unto them. And my mother and father weren't in this picture, and it was just a party. It was like a party that never stopped. It was a vicious cycle of abuse with alcohol, verbal abuse, physical abuse, and so on.
So at what age were you when that began? Is that your whole life?
Well, exactly. It never stopped until the fat lady sang. And I remember the day my grandfather died. The day he died, it was so weird. It was beautiful. He had been sick for a while, and he had stayed bedridden, and he had gotten up.
Yeah.
And he hadn't drinking forever because he was sick. And his brother came by, and they had some wine, and I seen my grandfather drinking wine. Next thing you know, he's smoking a cigarette, and he's kissing my grandmother. These two never kissed, they never hugged, they never said I love you or any type of those affectionate things. So when I seen them showing affection to one another for the first time, it felt nasty to me. It felt awkward and wrong because I was used to the tough love and the fighting. And
So it was like fake to you? I mean,
it was real affectionate, but it was just odd because I never seen it. And the weird thing is that was the day he passed away.
really?
He OD'd, basically, to the understanding I got.
He OD'd?
I don't know for sure, but I know he passed away. He didn't want to be, he had paperwork not to be revived. I know that I wasn't supposed to say anything for insurance reasons back then, but something happened that shouldn't have happened, you know. But there's nothing that can be done about it now because my grandmother's gone as well, and I don't have to carry that secret with me anymore.
Man, that's rough, and that's a lot of weight to put on a young man, a kid. Your brothers and how did your brothers react?
It was sad because Grandpa was our provider. He was the breadwinner of the household, and he took care of us all. He was a well-educated, well-respected man of the community. He wore a three-piece suit. He educated us from the time we were little, and I was advanced and ahead of myself in the scheme of things throughout my early stages of schooling until I went on my own path and started to self-destruct. Due to the fact that some things that had happened to me that were never addressed as a child.
So, was the abuse from him?
Well, there was physical abuse from him. There was mental abuse. There was sexual abuse. It was ugly. To be honest with you, when the abusing started, I didn't know it was wrong. I thought we were playing a game. You know, him and my grandmother never slept in the same room. He slept upstairs. She slept downstairs, and I'd hear these footsteps come down the stairs, and me and my brother would be in this other room, sleep, and I'd get woken up and carried and brought upstairs, and I thought it was wrestling, basically, but, you know, I remember one time I was at North School back then when North School was here, and Smokey the Bear and Woody Woot the Owl came and did a fire prevention and pollution awareness program, and at the end of it, there was a counselor or somebody who came, and they had this lady with a doll, and she was saying, if somebody touches you here, that's wrong, you should run and tell someone. And immediately, after getting out of school, my grandfather pulls up in the same van that he always had, and I felt nasty. I didn't want to get into the van, right? I didn't know what love was, because every time I had these interferences, I heard, I love you, and, you know, I have always, to this day, have had a very unhealthy feeling when someone tells me that they love me. The longer that I stay clean, I'm learning what true love is, and I had to start by learning how to love myself. Yes, I mean, I believe that a lot of families have some demons and things that they sweep underneath the rug. However, I know that you can get complete freedom when you expose the ugly truth.
Yeah. So growing up, after what age was he, or were you when he passed away?
I was in the 8th grade when my grandfather passed away.
What about your grandmother?
My grandmother passed away a couple years ago when I first got clean in 2013. It was 2014 in June or July, I mean.
Mhm.
So
So
that's pretty recent, not long ago that she passed away.
Did you harbor bad feelings towards her?
I had resentments against a lot of people in my family, including my mother
and
and my father.
they knew what was going on, right?
My mother and father didn't know. I remember my grandmother had caught us when I was little one time and blamed it all on me and said I was going to go to hell and burn forever. And I remember him saying if you say another word, he was going to kick her, you know what, and he ended up hitting her, and I had to pick her up and put her back on the couch. It was sad due to the fact these people were supposed to be my protectors. They were supposed to provide for me. They were supposed to nurture me. And my grandmother honestly never had a part to play in that, but when she suspected it or the day that she seen something that was not right, something should have been done.
Yeah.
Maybe I would have had counseling and that issue would have been addressed, and you never know where I would be at this stage in time now. I'm honestly happy things happened the way they did. I had to go through everything I had gone through to be at the place where I'm at today. And it's funny because it's fitting and I'm here on MCTV.
All right. So you're okay. Okay. Did your grandfather ever apologize?
I don't think.
Did he ever think he did
I
anything
don't
wrong?
think he never apologized to me. I know that the older that I got, I was able to defend myself and say no, and I remember it just stopped. However, the abuse didn't stop. But he wasn't the only person. There was another person who was living today who was a very close family member of mine who I will not disclose. A lot of people know about this. I won't air it out on TV due to the fact I don't want to bring any harm to anyone else. But he's totally forgiven. I've never honestly face-to-face told him he's forgiven. There was a part I played in this too because in active addiction, you know, due to the fact of my sexual orientation, probably having a comfort zone with being molested, when I knew this person who pedophiled me as a child, and I grew up and I got on drugs, and we're hanging out and we're getting high together, you know, and then boom, I'm an adult and partaking in the same thing that happened to me as a child. And I mean, it's devastating when you're not a victim anymore. And you have to own the part that you played. So I'm working a program of recovery. I'm in a 12-step fellowship that's anonymous. I love it. I have complete freedom from my past. I'm working on my future. I get a chance to daily reflect on me and work on myself. And my program is suiting me to become the best that I can be. And I've done a complete 180 since my past history here in Miami County, and I'm honestly looking forward to my future.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
How? That's better. All right. So, your brothers, were they ever affected like this? Were they ever abused?
To be honest with you, I hope that I'm the only person in the family who, I hope that I was the only person who had been abused. Come to find out, I'm not the only victim. There's so much more to this story, man. It's deeper than that. From the people who suffer from this. Before I even was brought to the picture, there are some people who are suffering and going through things now. A lot of it all came out when I exposed the ugly truth about what had happened to me. And it wasn't like I can just...
At what age did you do that? At what age did you come out and say...
I was grown, man. I was in my 30s. This was, I was in my late 20s, excuse me. It was after my first suicide attempt in 2007. And I just wanted to die, man. I just felt dirty inside. I was addicted to drugs. I didn't know how to come out to my family that I was gay. So I was sheltering in all of these feelings, and I was numbing them with drugs, okay?
So before, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I mean, before we go into that, was all this brought on? I mean, the suicide attempt, the drugs, was that all brought on by your hangover from the feelings from as a child?
Well, I mean, as I grew up as a child, okay, I remember when we were little in school, and I remember it so clearly. Uh, all of us guys would be in the gym, and somebody would be like, if you look at someone while they're undressing, you're a fag, or a
Yeah.
fag's a bundle of sticks. Anytime I heard the word fag or punk, my skin would cringe on the inside of me, right? So mentally, I probably made myself already dysfunctional in that area due to the fact I didn't know how to address it, because I knew that I was molested, but I didn't understand that was being molested. I thought that was gay because I didn't know the difference then. So mentally, it disturbed me and just took me to a place where I was always uncomfortable and sheltered, and I couldn't disclose that with anyone. I couldn't share those feelings with anybody because it's gay. You know, no one. It's a taboo.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
any local
If you talk about
community.
emotions, you're gay, and not
Yeah.
not like the in the worst sense of the word. I mean, okay.
Even to this day now, and I live in St. Louis, you can't compliment a guy. You can't be like, "Hey man, you look nice today." That's gay. Like, it's so hard
Yeah.
to even compliment a grown adult and give them some good a good compliment,
Yeah, you can't.
without them taking things the wrong way, because of the way our society has stigmatized a compliment coming from a man to another man, basically.
So, at what age did you do your first drug?
I was young. When I was little, we were allowed to go get the adults beer. They would be drunk. They thought it was cute for us to go to the icebox, go get me a beer. And like, I'm a provider, a people person. I want to be this hero and savior. And I know that going and getting you a beer made you happy. And I was protected as long as you were happy and you weren't angry.
Yeah.
So I remember going to get the beer. And I know that when you get the beer, the first thing they do, I remember that crack of that from the can opening. And I got off on that. And I used to remember when I first learned how to open the beer for them and hand it to them. Then it got to the point to where I had to open the beer and pour the beer in the glass for them. And I remember that last part of the chug, watching an adult say, afterwards. And I got off on that, and I remember taking my first sips as a child and mimicking their behaviors and their actions of how they would go from this Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde type of person as they were drinking. Their whole personality and character would change. And I remember having a root beer as a kid, and I'd stumble across the floor and act like I was drunk drinking root beer. So it started early.
Just following that rule of thumb.
Yeah. I mean, you look up to the people who raised you. You pick up their traits, and you mimic their gestures, and sometimes you become them.
So, when did you do your first hard drug?
13.
Nah, not weed.
Hard drug was 13. Yeah. Crystal
Well,
meth. I'll never forget it. Yeah.
So, you can tell us about it if you're coming.
Well, I had some friends that were living across the street from us. My cousin was dating his mom, and no, as a matter of fact, they moved in across the street from us, and we went camping, and the parents were on something, and the little boy came up and he was like, "Hey man, you guys want to do some strawberries?" And I'm like, "Cool, fuck it. Everybody else is doing it. I'm gonna do it too." I'm the only black guy, of course. I want to fit in with my friends, and I remember we did our little lines or whatever, and we never went to sleep. The frogs and whatever was making the noises out in the wild, we could hear that, and we listened to music, rock and roll all night long, and I didn't feel like this poor little black kid. I felt like this rock star. I felt a part of, and I felt like I belonged, man, and I loved them because I felt unity with them at this time. And I remember when it was over with, I never wanted it to stop, man. I
When
fantasized.
it came down.
Yeah, when it was over with and it came down, it was more to the fact of when reality smacked me in the face and I'm back at home in my environment and I was away from them. Like when I was gone with them, I was in a fantasy land. I was free. Nothing was hurting me. Basically, I was hurting myself because I was getting high, putting something in me that I shouldn't put in me, but I felt free and, you know.
So did that lead automatically to something else, or was it
Well,
in the future
that
when
was
you
my
did more?
first experience, and then after that, it was mainly alcohol and weed for a long time. And then whenever I got around this friend or friends who had that product, we would do this on a continual basis.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I ended up getting strung out like a research monkey for quite some time, and that's
How
when,
so?
well, my grades, I slacked up in school. I honestly stopped going to school. I went to school enough to barely pass, and I was just an average. I went from being average to like right before failing out of school, and then the end of my senior year, I had to move to St. Louis in order for me to walk the stage and get the credits that I needed due to the fact I was strung out, basically.
So your first step after graduation?
Well, after I graduated, I moved to I'm in St. Louis now, okay? I'm around people my color, people that I never wanted to be, right? I've always felt different in my skin. I didn't feel a part of. I was afraid of them.
What was that?
Huh?
Why was that?
Because I'm raised in the country, man. I was raised around cowboys and people that I wanted to be like, and now I'm thrust in this damn city.
We took the black out of you.
Yeah.
Took the ghetto out of you.
I mean, I blended in perfectly with them, but I stood out like a sore thumb. I wore these tight-ass Wranglers and a white T-shirt. Everybody knew I was country by the way I talked.
So out there, I mean, did you get back into drugs out there, or did you?
Out there, it was tough, man, because in the city where I'm from, everybody has to prove their dominance and their manhood, and it's issues around sex and women. And due to the fact of me being molested, and due to the fact, and mentally I knew that I was gay. I was always attracted to the cutest boy and the cutest girl in my class, growing up as a child all the way through high school. And now I'm in the city where sex is so common to where you have to prove your manhood by having a girlfriend and having sex with her and it being exposed that you guys did it so people would know. Like, it's so weird in the city. And I was a virgin for quite some time. Like, I was the oldest virgin. I feel I lost my virginity willingly in my 20s, I believe. Mm-hmm. And I was living with this girl, and I stayed high throughout our whole relationship. And when me and her had sex, it was like I was being molested. I had to get shit-faced high, excuse my language, and that's when we engaged in sexual activity. And I remember when we got pregnant, how happy I was, and I felt like a man. And I was struggling with my identity because I didn't want to be with her, but I wanted to be with her to keep the stigma off of me.
At what age was that?
Social acceptance. From the age of 18 through 21 or 23, we were together.
So do you have a child, or did she lose it?
She miscarried. So when she miscarried, I self-destructed then.
Oh, man.
Yeah. She miscarried in 2001. Yeah. It is what it is, though.
Was it out there or back here?
It was in St. Louis. And
So
we're
then
still
when did you
friends
go?
to this day. She wants to marry me.
Hey, say hi to
Hey, Jav. Love you, boo.
her. So, okay, when did you come back here? Because we were in jail.
Well, I came back here, man. Like I said, I had these struggles, man. And I came back here in 2001. And
So as far as the struggles, did you have any struggles out there with the law? Or
never got in trouble, never had any interactions with the law whatsoever.
out there.
Never. Not one time. I was a little bit under the radar there.
So when you came back here, what did you get locked up on? What did you go to prison for?
Well, when I came back here, I come from a family that we did what we had to do, honestly. And I'm going to keep the focus on me, honestly. I'm going to talk about me with this part.
Definitely, right.
So basically, my disease of addiction took me to my lowest animalistic level, and I was doing anything I had to do in order to survive.
Theft, drug.
Well, it really wasn't theft. Basically, I sold myself. Honestly, I would do favors for you to get what I wanted, and I had girlfriends who sold themselves too. It was like this big old ring of
really
trading. Yeah, and when people get high, a lot of times there's a lot of sex involved, and I just got caught in the grip, man. And next thing you know, a few years later of me moving here, I'm being escorted to prison in Lansing. And to be honest with you, I had a very bad problem. This whole time, I just wanted to die. I couldn't feed myself enough dope in order to kill myself. I had a few times I OD'd, and I just did
So
not.
when you OD'd, I mean, not trying to switch the topic, but when you OD'd, I mean, and you came out of it, were you just ready to go right back into it, back in the whole
I
lifestyle?
had no
or-
choice then because I was locked and
You
loaded.
did?
I was arrested by the drugs had control of me. Then I didn't have a choice.
That is, man.
Yes.
So, okay, so the people you ran with, the crew you ran with, were they solid, or were they just kind of just flakes, or did you come and go, or what?
The crew that I ran with, put it like this.
Not any names, but
No, I'm not going to name. I'll never name a name. The people who I ran around with took care of me, and I took care of them. And in the end, the state of Kansas took care of all of us. We all were railroaded to prison, and I'm accountable for my actions. I learned a valuable lesson. I remember when they locked me up, man. I'm 6'1.5", and I was 145 pounds. I was walking death. I remember I was in somebody's
what year was that?
Huh?
What year was that?
December of 2004 was when they caught me on the charge. They didn't catch me. I was in St. Louis, and I came back, and I knew I was wanted. And I was here for quite some time, getting high in broad daylight and night. I was a streetwalker. I come out at nighttime. Mm-hmm. But I remember when the disease progressed in me, I'd be out in the daytime, and I'd always have to hide because I knew they were looking for me. And it got to the point to where I didn't give a more. I love you, man.
Thank you so
for
much
real.
for doing this. I'm not saying this is over. I'm just saying that. Thank you. This is. I mean,
my main objective is to do this to free myself, and at the same time, if I just help one person, my job is done, man.
So, okay, if you had you 20 years ago right in front of you right now, what would you tell yourself?
Damn.
Do you think? So I think about that too. I think about myself, but I don't know if I could say anything to myself because that person was not a bad person, but a different person.
I mean, I was a totally different person. If I could have been able to see me 20 years ago and just give myself a few things to say, I would tell myself to love myself, respect my body.
But your idea of love back then, or I know my idea of love back then, completely different. You know what I mean?
I don't know what I would have told myself. I mean, now looking in from where I'm at now, I wish I wouldn't have been able to save me. I would have had to go through. I had to go through everything I've gone through to get to where I'm at today, man. In our darkest moments in life is when our roots grow the deepest. Mm-hmm. And you know, it's like a butterfly when they metamorphosizing out of the cocoon. They become this beautiful being. And right now, my wings are drying out, man. And a butterfly can't see its wings, and we can see how beautiful that butterfly is. And I can't see the beauty that I possess right now at times until I come back here. Like me coming back here this weekend, I've seen so much growth in me. I mean, I'm in a new car that I have in my own name. I cleaned my credit up. I freaking have 19 months, a week, and 5 days or whatever, clean, all in a row.
19 months, a week, and 5 days.
All in a row.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I've been abstinence from sex as well on my clean date because every time I have had sex, it's always been drug-induced. And I'm 39, man, and I've never had sex clean. And I found myself, man, I'm free this time. The mask must go, okay? I don't have to wear a mask and act like I'm a macho guy, and I can be okay with me and my sexual orientation and the person that I am. And that's something I struggle with my entire life.
Well, it's crazy you're talking about in the city. You had to be macho. You had to be sleep with everybody in the center. That everybody had to know about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost crazy to see that mirror image somewhat in rural small town America because that same idea stands. I mean, you gotta prove you're macho.
You do.
And that's part of the
It's sad.
thing.
It's the stigma, man. And I'm very grateful that the fellowship that I belong to has taught me how to love me. When I didn't love myself, they loved me, okay? They showed me what unconditional true love is, okay? There was no malicious motives behind it. It wasn't malice. There was no manipulation going on. It wasn't like you scratched my back, I scratched yours. I didn't love me. I wasn't comfortable being around these people. Like I said, they were black. I'm not from the city, so I was afraid of them. I thought everybody was a crook, a thief, and this bad person. Come to find out these people had the same damn struggles I had. A lot of them gone through the same exact things I went through. A lot of them hated the skin that they were in as well. A lot of people just wanted to pull pieces from other people and have their character traits to become who they are. And I'm glad that they taught me how it's okay just to be you. You know? They loved me, man. They loved me until I was able to love myself, man. It's a beautiful thing.
I want to meet these people sometime.
You welcome you with open arms.
I want to meet them sometime.
Yes, all are welcome.
Okay, so where is your family now?
Right now, I live in St. Louis with my grandmother. My uncle had passed away.
Was it your grandmother that you were talking about before?
Not my grandmother from
She
here.
died.
My grandmother from my father's mother.
Okay.
And the funny thing is this, man. My uncle died. My grandmother has property. When I went to the funeral, I had lived in St. Louis, and my life was a lot better than it was here. I told her, I said, you know what? If you need me, I'm coming back to help you. And I'm back on the Amtrak, headed back to Kansas, and we stopped in Columbia, Missouri, because that's a drop-off spot. And no, I was on the Greyhound, and I get a call. My cousin's like, Mama wants you to come back home. And I was like, God, man, if I come back home, I can't go home all messed up, because I detoxed when I was there at the funeral.
Yeah.
It was the worst thing ever for me, man. I was tired, weak, bones hurt. I couldn't hold a conversation with anyone because I didn't know how to talk.
And what year was that?
This was in 2014. Yeah, October of 2014. So I promised them I'd come back, right? And they immediately wanted me to come back. However, I knew me. I wasn't done. The disease had me locked and loaded. And I needed some time to finish partying, right? I told them, I said, I'll be back. Give me a couple weeks. That couple weeks turned into a month and a half or whatever. And I remember I was moving there in a week, right? And on my grandmother's birthday, the one who I'm living with now, the one who I'm helping, it was on her birthday, 11/6 was the last day I got high. The last day I got laid. It's so funny. I'm sorry, but all this stuff happened on her birthday. I never even knew it was her birthday, okay?
Really?
I was done, though. I was giving myself that last time, and I knew I had given myself a significant butt whooping because I was done. I didn't want to get high no more. It wasn't fun. It hurt. It was costly. I was worn out from just trying to keep up with everything and to keep it. And
You were 37?
No, I was 30. Yeah, I was 37 then. Yes, you're exactly right. And I was just tired, man, and I had detoxed in Spring Hill. I got in my Jeep, and I started praying to something, right? And I detoxed in Spring Hill. Well, I'm driving on the highway coming to Spring Hill to stay with my brother to detox. And on the way there, I started crying. I started reflecting everything that happened in my life. I wanted to completely surrender my will and give it to God. And I struggled with the understanding of God, and I prayed to God. I said, I want to give you my will, and you take over my life. Immediately, my engine blows up, my Jeep Wrangler. Immediately after that prayer. So me and God have always had it tough together, right? And I remember this trucker blowing at me to pull over, or he was blowing at me, and I was taking it the wrong way. I was like, man, he must be wanting something, right? Because you know I'm sick, right?
Yeah.
I'm detoxing. I'm thinking he's trying to score, and he knows his brother got something. I'm in the Jeep. So long story short, I pull over and my engine's hissing, and I barely made it to my brother's job. And I had all my clothes in there. I had everything that I was taking with me to St. Louis, which wasn't much. And he gave me his truck, and I drove to his house, and I slept for 3 days straight. And the sad thing is they were doing my laundry and stuff like that, and they find paraphernalia in the washer. They find paraphernalia in the dryer. My sister-in-law was pissed at me. I'm asleep. I didn't know, you know. They're helping me because everybody took care of me then because I couldn't take care of myself. And, man, what a life. How I go there to help my grandmother, and in 19 months, man, I've done a 180. And, well, I went there to help her, and I got the most help. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
So funny. That's from being a service. I learned that if you do service work and you do something for a complete stranger or just go and give someone your time, it really helps you on the insides. It helps you build some character and morals. And
That's really cool.
thank you.
So all right, so now having been 1 year?
1 year, 18 months.
18 months.
Was my last checkpoint. The next one will be my 2 years, which would be November 7th, 2017. I don't get credit. We don't get credit in my program, so I can't do that one yet. I get that daily. You get a daily reprieve from active addiction in the program I belong in. But it's anonymous, so I can't say it right now.
So you still have that itch?
Honestly, I'm going to tell you the truth. Now that I'm clean, I know that the disease of addiction manifests in other areas of my life. Shopping is one of them.
Yeah, sure. All right.
I always want more.
And just so you know,
I like nice things now.
Just
I gave the dope man all my money. Now, Neiman Marcus and Saxon Avenue, Macy's.
Just so you know, before this interview,
he Dillard's.
But hold on, man.
Dope man.
Before this interview, he said, so I gotta show my shoes. I gotta show my shoes off.
Guilty.
Right.
Yes. I'm just a happy gay man living in a real man's world. I'm sorry.
Okay, so let's get on that real quick. I'm sorry. So you're making it. You know, you haven't made it 'cause it's a lifelong struggle.
Mm-hmm.
But you're making it.
I get one daily reprieve. Every day I wake up, I have the choice if I want to use it or not.
Yeah.
You know?
And
I have to deal with life on life's terms, man. If my grandmother died today, I'm not going to use no matter what. If God allows me to have somebody special in my life, and I've never had a healthy relationship when it comes to love, but I get to experience these feelings now, and I get to experience everything clean, I got to deal with life on life's terms, man. You know?
So switching from the torment of drugs to your sex life, to your sexual preference, to being a gay man. When did you come out as a gay man?
Man, okay. I think my first encounter with a man, I hadn't been gay until I got out of prison.
Were you? Did you consider yourself gay then?
I knew I was gay in high school.
In high school, or did you know before that, or?
I knew that something was different with me. I've known this ever since I was younger. Like I said earlier, I've always been attracted to the cutest guy, the cutest girl in school. However, I don't know if the molestations had something to do with giving me a comfort zone with men. I just never acted out on it.
Now, did you?
Until I was late in age, in my 20s.
Were you scared?
Of course I was. I was terrified. Well, basically, I was scared because of the stigma. All of my brothers, what would they think if they found out? I couldn't expose myself to my mother. There was no one who I can talk to. I didn't have any example of anyone in my life who was socially accepted that was gay. You know, everybody who I knew was gay. They were mistreated. They were made fun of. And it was something I was living on my own. It was a big secret. And I remember after a suicide attempt I had in 2007, after clarity came back and I was competent enough to speak a sentence, my mother's like, "What is wrong? Why would you do this to me?" And I told her about the molestation.
She didn't know about that before?
No, she had no clue. She was devastated, and I see the look in her eyes, man, when I told her that. It was like a spirit.
Now, was that her parents or your dad's parents?
It was her
her
stepfather. And she was hurt, so he's passed away. And my mother had my best interest. And long story short, I remember when I had drove to her house, I got out of treatment. I drove to her house because I had to get it off of me to tell her. And her and her boyfriend were there, and I knock on the door. She sees me happy, hugging, whatever. And I'm looking at her, and I'm like, "Mom, I have something that I need to tell you." She's like, "What is it?" I'm like, "I think you should sit down so I can say this to you." And I was prepping myself all the way there of what to say, how to say it, let them know that I love them. I'm still your child no matter what. And trying to be strong.
Are you talking about telling them that you're gay or telling them that you were molested?
No, this was after the fact. Okay. So now it's my coming out to her. And it's hard, man. I'm sitting there, and my mom's like, "What is it, baby?" And we have direct eye contact. And, you know, my mother and me have got this better relationship now because I've been so devastated from all the stuff, the trauma that I've put her through. She's trying to really have a connection with me. So I'm sitting at the table across from her, and I'm like trying to say this to her, and the words won't come out of my mouth. She's like, "What is it, baby?" So she's trying to play the guessing game. She's like, "What? You're having a baby." All the air immediately leaves out of my lungs, and I'm like, "No." And I basically told her I'm gay with the lightest voice that I can say it in. And she looked at me.
What?
She said, "What?" And
was her boyfriend
and
there
then her
too?
boyfriend said, "What'd he say?" My mom said, "He's a choto" in Spanish. That's gay.
Yeah.
So basically, she said that no matter what, she still loved me. I'm her son. And she had just watched a show the day before on Oprah about kids who came out to their parents who were rejected. And she had said to herself, if one of her kids ever came to her to share that with her, she would love them unconditionally, which she has till this present day. So,
Still, or?
Yeah, me and my mother have a fantastic relationship now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what about your brothers?
It was hard for them. My brothers are all masculine, hardcore men. In the beginning, it was very tough for them. But in the end, they laugh about it because they said they knew all this time something was different because we'd be playing football or basketball or baseball, and when the ball's coming my way, I'm doing a cartwheel. Like, quit doing cartwheels, you little punk. And then it started to make sense there.
And then for anybody out there that's doing cartwheels,
you can do your cartwheels. It's okay. It doesn't make you gay.
Yeah.
No, but it's funny because like my brothers, they just had to learn how to be okay with it, man. I guarantee you it was probably tough for them because they worried about me. They didn't want anything bad happening to me, and it's something that isn't discussed in a household where we come from. It's not tolerated in a lot of communities. It's frowned upon. And there's more of us out there than you think. A lot of people even get married and have these relationships long term with women, have kids, and they struggle throughout this entire process. And I've had people come to me and talk to me about it. And I mean, in your own timing, you can come out. And I mean, a lot of people lose good people. Like a lot of people are rejected by family members and things of that nature. And I hope that they find a family.
Everyone's scared of the unknown.
Yeah.
It's just finding that solid ground. Mm-hmm. It's hard for a lot of people. But luckily, thankfully, there's strong people like you that they come out and talk about things.
Well, yeah.
Talk about not just the coming out there, the telling the world that you're gay, but the fact that what you've been through with the drugs and with the life before that. I mean, the abuse. I mean, that is
right on, man.
That's impressive.
Present day, my life is good. I'm a lead.
One day at a time.
Yes, I'm a lead at a job now. I make decent money. Pay my bills on time. I can go out of town when I want to.
Decent job, decent paying job. You see those kicks? show them kicks. Look at that. Tell me you make decent money. He makes okay more than decent money.
I make okay money. Yeah. But I'm just happy with my life. I'm abstinent. The longer that I stay clean, the longer that I stay abstinent, the healthier I get. And when that time's right, the stars will align perfectly in my life and the planets, and I'll have someone just as healthy as me. We'll live happily ever after, probably adopt 2 dogs and a cat, maybe a kid, I don't know.
Not that he has any of this planned out. not that he's got it all mapped out.
You're silly.
Well, living in a 2-story, well, no, make that a ranch house.
A beach house.
A beach house.
That sounds better. Let's make it a
beach house.
Speak it into existence. Yeah, I want a beach house. Huh?
Yeah,
in Florida.
In Florida.
Or California. Florida. Nah, where do I want to go to? I've always said.
You think about your own time, man.
I love you, man.
I love you too, man. So, wow. So, we come back and see us, man. We come back and talk with us.
Yeah. I would love to come back and do something for MCTV. I respect you. I respect
MCtvLIVE,
all the work that you do, bro.
Thank you.
I'm very happy for you. I'm impressed. You really inspired me, and
You inspire me, man.
Thank
Don't. This is your turn to be on the pedestal, man. You inspire us. You inspire so many people.
thank
Well,
you.
from what you've been through, where you are now, it's like this. I say people in the past, it's old ladies in rocking chairs. It's the future's what you see. The future's what you're going in, man. You give everybody a brighter future to look at.
Thank you.
And to see what the possibilities, see where you can go and where you can be. That's what you've done. I mean, I tell people, don't look at where I've been. Look where I'm going.
Exactly. There's a quote in our literature that I just love, and it says that lost dreams awaken and new possibilities arise. I've seen women who've lost their kids get their families back. I've seen street bums. I've literally, since 2007, of trying to get clean, and this fellowship I belong to, I've literally seen bums come in and get degrees. I've seen whole street prostitutes come in and become housewives. It's a beautiful thing.
It's amazing.
You get to blossom and become better beings. My lost dream, if it's ever awakened, is to become a flight attendant, man. I was always afraid to be a flight attendant because 3/4 of them are gay. And you might catch me on a plane one day. Sit in first class, sir? I'd put you in first class if you came on my flight.
Oh, man. Oh, I see. I think about this. I think about us playing crawl tag in my basement. And I think about that. That's, I mean, that's like, I'm not saying when I picture this, but I picture it. I mean, I picture the happiness,
Yeah.
the fun that we were having.
That was before, man. But I mean, like, if I would have been able to say something then, I would have, but I just didn't know how.
No. I'm saying that picture of you then, the happiness, the fun in my house, kids having fun.
Yeah.
I see that manifesting to you now.
I'm happy to have that back, man.
I see, yeah. I see the beauty, the fun, the energy, the chi, man. It's all about that. So, man, this is Paul Michael Davis, MCtvLIVE.
San Juan Caffey Jr.
JR, baby. All right.
Thanks,
This is MCtvLIVE, all right? Stay out there. We're coming at you, right?
That's a wrap.
Here we go, baby. Come on, you want to sing for me? Why not? Oh, just sing for me. Just a little bit.
singing,
Come on, why not?
No.
Sing. Hurt my feelings. JR, so kid, you still go by JR? Is it?
Yeah, I go by JR.
Does it mean like all your new friends? All your new friends, they call you a San Juan or a JR?
Yeah.
Now they do?
City folks call
JR, man. Get with it, people.
JR.
Come on. Right there.
me. Okay.
Is that better? No, don't be
You like
afraid.
it.
Don't be afraid to look at me.
If
Here,
you like
here,
it, I like it.
Here, Bambi.
You're stupid.
The black Bambi.
Oh my God. I'm already nervous. Let's do this. He's silly as hell, man.